So, today I'm going to talk about what it's like to go through chemotherapy. Welcome to Crocs in the Kitchen. I'm Jessica, and this is Oliver. Say hi, Oliver. Hi. So, today we are back in Rochester, Minnesota, and it is Wednesday, September 21st. So, I'm actually going to go to some appointments today to get some blood work done and then also meet with the oncology team. And then tomorrow I'll have my chemotherapy. So, one of the first things that you have to do before you get chemo done is have blood work done. And what they're checking for is to make sure all of your numbers are in line with what they need them to be to give you the chemotherapy. If your numbers are too low, I don't know if they would be too high. I don't think that would be possible. I don't know. But if they're too low, then your blood counts and all that kind of stuff, then you actually can't get the chemo and you have to wait for like another week or whatever they decide to do. So far, fingers crossed, both times that I've had blood work done, everything's been fine. I think my platelet numbers have been a little bit low, but not low enough to cancel the chemo. But that was one thing that I didn't know about chemo before going into it, was that there is a chance that you could actually have blood work done and then they could say, nope, sorry, we can't do it.
So tell everyone what happened today.
Well, I went for my blood work and then I got the results back on my phone because they pop up on my phone like really quick, like literally, I don't know, what was it, like 30 minutes later? And my platelet count was like pretty low compared to where it's been. So it was 123. The last time I went, it was 151. And originally, like someone told us if it was below 150, then I couldn't have chemo, and that was like totally wrong. But so I still have that in my mind, and I was like freaking out. It turns out that it's fine. So we met with a doctor and she said that that was fine, that 123 was low, yes, but not too low to do the chemo. So yay. But the reason why it's so low is because I'm on my period. And I thought that maybe like during chemo I wouldn't have a period, but apparently that's not the case for me. So we met with the doctor and everything was, just kind of went over a lot of stuff. She spends a lot of time with us, which is always really nice. And just talking through any concerns and questions. And I had a whole list of things for her. But essentially, where we're kind of at right now is that I'm going to get scans after my right before my fourth chemo cycle. I'll get a CT scan and MRI on my liver to look at that a little bit closer. So then we'll kind of have an answer on like how the chemo's working and all of that. All things are a go for tomorrow. I'll be getting my chemo and I'm not looking forward to it. And I'm a little bit emotional right now because I'm just like not ready for another. I'm just starting to feel good after the last cycle, so I'm not ready for another one, but that's just the way that it goes. So we'll pick it back up tomorrow. All right, well, it's Thursday. You know what that means.
Chemo day.
Time for chemo. I really don't want to get out of bed because I think getting out of bed means that I have to actually go. I mean, look at my head. I look like an alien. Anyway, um yeah, it's just past 7 a.m. We got to be there at 8:30. It only takes a couple minutes to get there, but we got to like get up and get ready. And I just don't want to get up because honestly, like I've just been laying here thinking about just what, the next week or so is going to look like. And you kind of forget how the chemo makes you feel in some ways. It's like, oh, it won't be that bad, but it sucks. And I do all kinds of things to try to mitigate the symptoms and all that, the side effects and everything. But, there's only so much you can do, and then you just kind of have to go through it.
So, we're coming up on the end here for round 3.
Yes.
How are you feeling?
Yes, just a few minutes left of my second infusion for the day, and I feel good. Like, I've just been tired the whole time, pretty much. Slept a lot of the time. They give me the Benadryl at the beginning, and it does knock me out. But yeah, it's been pretty smooth sailing the entire time. It's, what is it, like about 2 o'clock, so we'll be probably out of here by like 2:30. Been here since 8:30, so not too bad. Um, it goes by really fast for me just because I'm literally like sleeping a lot of the time. Poor Brian's over there sitting in his uncomfortable chair while I have this chair that has a remote. It has like all the little, oh, this is the TV remote. I also have the TV. I watched a little bit of Price is Right earlier, but I have this which reclines and does the upright and everything whenever I want to. I think it also massages. Yeah, there's a massage function, which I haven't tried. I think it has heat. I just realized I think it has heat. I didn't know that. Anyway, so really comfy chair. We got a window, which is nice. Yeah, the one thing I will say is like about the actual chemo process is remember if there's anything weird that happens and let them know if you feel weird. Like, that's what I've learned, because there are a lot of things that they can do to help. Like, the first time I had it, the Benadryl gave me like restless legs, and they were giving me the Benadryl through, oh, we're beeping, we'll be right back, hold on, we're beeping. It's done, so the beeping meant that it was done. But yeah, everything went pretty good. But yeah, if you have, what I was saying is, they were able to basically give me the Benadryl in a different way this time. So they put it through the IV instead of just, no, they put it through like the drip thing. So they had the little thing hanging down and dripping in instead of just like pushing it through. And I don't have any restless leg problems when that happens. So that's really a good tip.
So, where are we?
We are in the David Geffen Auditorium at Mayo Clinic, which is on the way out. They have it open just for people who want to come in and like sit. There's nobody in here right now, that's why we're filming. But they have it open for anybody who wants to come in and sit and like get away from, if they are waiting in between appointments and all that kind of stuff. But I just realized there's a few things I forgot to tell you, because I was just in the mode of like, we need to get out of the room because they want us out probably because my chemo was done and all that. So one thing that I forgot to tell you was about my ice packs. So I use ice packs during my chemo on my hands, mainly my fingertips, and on my toes. And what that is supposed to do is during the Paclitaxel, that drug can actually cause neuropathy, so like a tingling, numbness in your fingers and your toes, and that can actually last like permanently, they say, or temporarily. So I was basically the ice during that specific drug is supposed to possibly remove the possibility of that happening or reduce it. So that's why I use the ice packs. So that's 3 hours that drug is administered. And so for 3 hours, I have ice on my hands and my feet. The other thing I was going to say is chemo is boring, okay? Like, that's what somebody told me. Actually, Martha, shout out to Martha, told me that before my first chemo. She's like, I'm not going to lie, it's just boring, because it's just hours of sitting there and you don't really have a lot going on. You're just sitting there. There's no like I did have actually like a stinging in my hand today a little bit, which I didn't have the last 2 times. Probably just depends on the vein and whatever, but there's not like a lot going on. It's not like this big thing where you're like, oh, I feel all this pain. Although some people may if you have reactions. For me, it's not. It's just this boring, like, long thing, except for the first time when I had the reaction, of course. That was a little bit more intense. But I bring all these things with me. Now I don't, because I know to do during it. Like, the first time I brought my laptop and I'm going to watch this and watch that and do that and get work done and like whatever. No. Like, I'm not going to do anything because I sleep most of the time, like you saw. And also because my hands are on ice, I can't really do much anyway. So, but they do have the convenient TVs in there, which is nice. I actually watched a video about the peregrine falcons of Mayo Clinic, which is quite interesting. But anyway, now we are going to go get in the car, get back to the Airbnb, and we will chat with you a bit later.
Jessica,
Yes.
what are you doing?
Well, I'm eating my Ezekiel English muffin with a little bit of sun butter, which is sunflower seed butter, on it. So every morning for breakfast, pretty much I've been eating this, and like something similar, maybe Ezekiel toast with some kind of nut butter. It just kind of settles my stomach a little bit. That way, if I need to take any pills or anything like that. But I've also been making a smoothie every morning, and we like to put them on these giant Which Wich cups. These cups are amazing for a giant smoothie. So I always make a smoothie, and then Brian gets half and I get half, and this is half, which is a lot. So that's kind of my breakfast routine. And I'll do another video where I talk about like how I fast and what I eat and leading up and following chemo a little bit, which is a little bit different than typical. But you know, we'll definitely do more videos talking about what I'm eating throughout this whole cancer thing and everything like that. And so today I'm kind of back in my normal routine. It's actually Saturday, so I had the chemo on Thursday, and I'm just trying to get, I don't know if I'm going to tolerate it, so we'll see, because sometimes smoothies, when you have nausea, aren't exactly a great mix, but I'm just going to try to get back into my normal routine and see what happens. So yesterday we actually had a really, really, really lovely day. So every chemo regiment drugs are like, you know, are different. So it's, with me, I'm on Carboplatin and Paclitaxel every 3 weeks, and they pre-treat me with a steroid and a bunch of like heavy anti-nausea meds. So the day following my chemo, I actually feel really, really good. I feel like I could do anything. I could go, you know, like do stuff. So we try to take advantage of that by going out and doing something fun. So yesterday we actually drove up to Lake Pepin, and we went on a fun little adventure on the Pearl of the Lake, which is a paddle boat that goes around Lake Pepin, which is actually just a really big widening of the Mississippi River. So it's kind of interesting for us since we live in St. Louis by the Mississippi River, but it's quite different up there. We brought the dogs with us, and it was very fun because it was our first boat ride, and it was not exactly ideal weather. It was like rainy and very cold, and Brian and Oliver were definitely like, Oliver was not impressed. And Brian was cold, and so they were kind of like, the boys were like, but Scout loves like looking at everything and seeing everything. And so she was just like on the edge of the boat, like, of course, being held very safely by Brian. And she was just looking out at all the birds and everything in the water, and she was absorbing it all. And I was kind of in the same mode as her, but we all had fun, and we tried to stay warm the best we could. But it's just nice to get out and do stuff, because I could have just defaulted to be like, okay, I'll just watch Netflix all day. But that's, you know, I'm going to have a lot of those days ahead of me in the next week. So I just like to get out and have fun. But it's kind of a double-edged sword, because there's a mental thing going on where it's like you're anticipating these symptoms that are going to come on. You get kind of emotional when you're enjoying those moments because you know what's about to come, if that makes any sense. And there's a lot of, but at the same time, you don't want to project symptoms onto yourself. So you're trying to just keep going and not, you know, as long as you're not experiencing the symptoms, and not just expect that the symptoms are coming. So right now, I'm feeling okay. I'm kind of like, now that I'm getting a little breakfast in me, I took my steroid that they had me on for anti-nausea. They had me on Dex, which I'm supposed to take days 2, 3, and 4 after the chemo. And that helps with the nausea. And then I also have Zofran, which I can take if it breaks through and I still have nausea. I have like a 4 milligram dissolve under your tongue kind of thing. So those are my 2 anti-nausea meds. And last night around 4 a.m. I did start getting nauseous, so I took the Zofran. and that kind of kept it at bay. But then of course I couldn't sleep for like 2 or 3 hours. So if you ever see me up on Instagram in the middle of the night, it's probably just because I can't sleep, and that's when I like to, like, you know, post stories and do things like that sometimes. But yeah, follow our Instagram, Crocs in the Kitchen, and you can see all my what do you call it when you can't sleep? What's the word, Brian? Insomnia. That's the other thing chemo does to you. I feel like I have like chemo brain. Like sometimes I just can't remember things. My second round, I really felt the fatigue, the achiness, and just the general, like, I just don't want to move. I don't want to do anything for about a week after the chemo. And so that's kind of what I'm expecting this time. We are driving home on Monday. So like I said, today's Saturday. So I have a couple of days here to relax before we have to do the drive home. All right, so another thing that I wanted to say is I do have a bunch of other ways to help nausea that I've been trying out. So I have ginger root that I take. So I've been taking that, like usually I take that the days leading up to my chemo and then following my chemo. And then I also have this Squeeze Ease, which is actually like a little, I don't know if you can focus on it, but it's actually a little like scent thing. I don't know if this helps at all, but I've tried it. You like open it up and then you like sniff it, and it's got like, it actually smells pretty good. It's got like peppermint, spearmint, lavender, ginger, essential oils. So I've tried that. I also have the C-bands. A lot of people recommend. So you put those on and position them in a certain way, these little bands around your wrist. And those are supposed to help with nausea as well. So I have tried all the kind of other more natural, I guess, ways of dealing with nausea as well. It's hard to say what really helps and what doesn't, because you just sort of like do whatever you can, and then, you know, it hopefully helps. But yeah, there are all sorts of ways out there that people say you can help with nausea. So, you know, besides just the medicine that they give you. So here we are the next day. It's Sunday now. So that's what, we're 3 days after my chemo. And I'm actually doing pretty well. I think I'm doing better than I was last round at this point. The last round hit me really, really hard, like I said. And that was the second round. And I feel like this round I'm doing a little bit better at this point. I'm even thinking about, hey, maybe we can go out and do something later today, like get out of the Airbnb and do stuff. We're still in Rochester, and I'm just hanging out in my jammies. These are my little doggy jammies. Just hanging out and resting and working on a puzzle and trying to really take it easy on myself. But I do feel like maybe, you know, it's weird because now I'm like in my own head of, well, if I'm, you know, having less symptoms, side effects this time from the chemo, does that mean the chemo's not working anymore? Or like, I don't know. And it's all kind of a mind game, and you kind of are like, well, should I feel bad? Should I feel worse? Should I feel this way? And you just have to be really, really like nice to yourself. I think when you're going through something like this, you just have to let yourself feel whatever you're feeling, whether it be good or bad, and not set up expectations in your head. But I do think that maybe, you know, I'm following a really healthy whole food plant-based diet. I'm fasting before and like a little bit after the chemo. So I'm doing a lot of things that I'm working with my integrative oncologist through Mayo Clinic. She's been helping me figure out a lot of stuff to help, you know, mitigate some of these side effects. But tomorrow we're going to be driving home. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that tomorrow I'm having a good day as well, and we can get home back to St. Louis, and then I can continue to rest up and get ready for my next round. But I'm halfway through with the chemo treatments at this point, so I feel like that's an achievement of some sort, but it also just feels like daunting that I still have halfway to go. But anyway, we will check in with you again a bit later. Well, we are on the road home from Rochester to St. Louis. So it's about a 7-hour drive. We've got about 6 hours left, and we're just stopping for some gas somewhere in Iowa. But I woke up feeling pretty nauseous this morning. That was not fun. I also was awake in the middle of the night for about 2 hours, just laying there contemplating why I have cancer, how I got cancer, if I did something to give myself cancer, all those questions that kind of pop up in the middle of the night sometimes. Honestly, I'm not doing great emotionally today, mentally. I feel empty. I feel numb, depressed. I feel like there's no hope that I'm ever going to feel differently than I feel in this moment, mentally or physically, if that makes sense. I feel just like there's no point. I did just have a little cry, which crying helps sometimes, you know? Sometimes you just need to let it out, and that did help a little bit, but just the thought of like sitting here alone with my thoughts for the next 6 hours of this drive, which like obviously I'm not alone, I have Brian with me, but like I don't really feel like talking at all either. You know, you get to that point where you just don't feel like talking about it. So I did talk about it a little bit and then I ended up crying, but yeah, it's rough. So physically, I'm just, you know, achy, pain, mostly in my back and my knee, which it seems like whenever I get chemo, whatever was bothering me any slightly, like just gets accentuated from the chemo. So I think I've said that before. And so that's kind of going on, but anyway, probably won't check in again today. Just gonna kind of try to get through this wave. And Ollie is getting upset in the back. He's like, let me out. I can hear him. Maybe my puppies will give me some joy having them with me. But I'm gonna listen to some music, try to sleep, and yeah. So it's several days later. It's actually October today. So it's Saturday, October 1st. And we went home on Monday. So I've been home for the entire week. I've been trying to figure out a way to kind of sum up this video, this little journey I've taken you on of me going through my chemo. And there's really just, I don't know, there's no way to sum it all up. What is chemo like? It's a roller coaster. It's a bunch of things. It's a lot of things that I didn't, you know, can't capture in this video. A lot of feelings I can't capture. The last week I've been very low, very depressed. I've also been tired. I've been hurting. I've been in pain. And so it's hard to kind of wrap that all up in a bow. I think that the main thing that I've learned through going through chemo is that it's different for everybody, and be kind to yourself. And I think I'm going to leave it with that. But please let us know in the comments below if there's questions you have. There are tons of other videos I could do just about chemotherapy. If you have questions or anything like that, please let us know in the comments below. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed to our channel so you can get updates whenever we post new videos. But other than that, I think I'm going to say goodbye, and we'll see you next time on Crocs in the Kitchen. Bye.